A Dream Come True by MJNight03. Chapter 1. It's you. Blood rushed in Victor's ears as the world came screeching to a halt around him. She was real. Not only was she real, she was here, standing right in front of him, only paces away. The shining angel who had taken up a permanent residence in his mind for months now. The girl whose face he saw every time he closed his eyes. And she was looking back at him. It's you. The words slipped out. Victor had to force his eyes away from her when the older man, clearly their leader, addressed his aunt. But even then, his gaze drifted back to her. She was radiant. Her hair glistened a gold so bright, he wondered if the sun itself was the cause for the shine. He watched her eyes, blue and lively, dancing around between her elder and the vampires. Her eyes met his again, only for a single moment, before she looked away quickly. Their leader called out something, and suddenly the girl was moving, summoning a fireball and shifting into a defensive stance. All of them were. Victor glanced around and saw the vampires readying their storms in retaliation. Did he miss something? Should he have a cloud in front of him right now? Oops. A high-pitched shrieking noise made Victor flinch. The alien girl cheer thing, was it Allison, from the beach, had a whistle in her mouth. We have a proposal. And that was how it started. Suddenly Victor was being declared a young leader and forcefully volunteered into a camp with the Daywalkers. With her. He looked her way again, only for a heavy hand to land on his shoulder and steer him away. Don't mess this up, his aunt hissed, eyes flashing. They're up to something. Don't trust them. She led him away. Keep an eye on that young leader of theirs. He glanced back and saw the girl. God, he wished he knew her name. Locked in a very similar-looking conversation with the leader of the Daywalkers. That, he smirked at his aunt, I can do. Vargas and Vera waited for him up the path back to Shadytown, the latter tapping her foot impatiently, arms crossed. So, Vargas threw an arm around his shoulder. Guess we're going camping. Suppose all your wishes are coming true, Vera huffed as the trio set off. Meaning? Victor raised an eyebrow at her. There was no way she could know. He hadn't even told Vargas about his visions of that girl. There was no possible way for Vera, of all people, had figured him out. Weren't you saying just this evening that you couldn't wait to get out of Shady? She rolled her eyes. Now we get to spend who knows how long away from home, hanging out with a bunch of freaky day demons. Yay! He laughed, shaking his head. Come on! Where's your adventurous spirit? This could be fun. Fun. Right. She puffed, quickening her pace. You do seem weirdly into this whole experiment, man, Vargas commented after the girl was a safe space ahead of them. Anything to do with that blonde you could hardly look away from? Please, Victor scoffed, though his heart pumped in his ears. God, was he that obvious? I'm just happy for a few weeks without my aunt hissing down my neck. Fair. Vargas nodded sagely. He patted Victor's chest. We can't risk those daywalkers calling dibs on all the best bunks. Victor couldn't argue with that. Besides, the sooner he got to whatever camp they'd be staying at, the sooner he could finally introduce himself to the daywalker, and finally place a name to the face that haunted his dreams in the best way possible. He packed quickly, throwing in only the necessities. His favourite coat, his coolest shoes, a whole tub of hair gel, obviously, and, most importantly, his notebook. He couldn't wait to update his drawings as he got to know her. He opened to the marked page, the familiar face staring back at him. Already, he knew the eyes on the page lacked sparkle. What else could he find to add? He buzzed with anticipation. Dude! The door was thrown open, making him jump and slam his book shut as fast as possible. "Hurry up!" Vargas rushed him outside the room. "Stop picking out your favourite pencils and just throw some randoms in there." Victor rolled his eyes, waving his friend off. "Joke's on you, man. My pencils are already packed." "First thing in your bag." "Duh." He grinned, tucking the book neatly into the side pocket of his duffel bag, then zipping up the main compartment. "Good to go?" Vargas held the door open for him. "Lead the way." Victor mock bowed. "I thought you were leading this whole thing." Victor shook his head, lightly shoving his friend as he passed through the door. "Shut up." The other teen only laughed, quickly catching up. "Vera's already halfway through the tunnel. We gotta pick up the pace." Victor couldn't even pretend to be surprised that she had left without them. "What, did she pack like one set of clothes and call it a night?" Vargas shrugged. "Maybe she's just excited to get to know the Daywalkers." The two shared a look before immediately laughing. "Yeah, because she's such a fan of change. And new people." "She barely even puts up with us." Vargas bumped his shoulder. "Nah, we're totally her favourites." Victor grinned, seeing their friend waiting at the bottom of the hill that approached the barrier. "Look, she's even waiting for us." He raised his voice as they approached. "Shut up," she groaned, rolling her eyes and crossing her arms. "I just need you two idiots to cross first, in case the sun decides to burn us up this time." Right, Victor definitely believed that. Never mind the fact that at least half their class had already crossed over. "Here we go." He straightened his bag strap over his chest. He could do this. He was ready. He stepped past the barrier. Victor prepared himself for the blinding light they had found the first time, squinting his eyes as he passed through, only to be met with the same shade of night on the other side. Right. He supposed that neither night nor day was eternal. Not out here. They passed seamlessly, one always following the other, in a perfect cycle. "Whoa!" Vargas sounded just as surprised. "It's beautiful." Victor gazed into the endless night. The air was clear, and the smell of salt water was overwhelming his senses. Even the stars out here seemed brighter. "Come on, lover boy." Vera overtook the pair. "Admire the stars on your own time." "Oh, I plan to." He laughed, quickly catching up to the pair. "Probably a whole new set of constellations visible from the other side of the mountain." He eyed the horizon, hungry to find out. "Of course you do." He could practically hear her eye roll. "I give him 2 days before he goes missing in the middle of the night." "Hey, have some faith in the man." Vargas threw an arm around his shoulder. "Think. He'll probably be too tired to move the past few days. He'll make it at least 3 nights in bed before he goes wandering." Victor rolled his eyes, but as he opened his mouth, a figure in the distance caught his eye, and the argument died on his tongue. There she was. Still real, so far. Still dancing just out of reach. She was surrounded by other daywalkers, making their way through the archway that must have led to the campsite. To their campsite. "Aw, man," Vargas complained, following his gaze. "They totally beat us. Betcha they're gonna call all the good cabins." "Come on." Victor laughed, picking up the pace. If they were too late, knowing his luck, she would pick a cabin and settle in for the night before he could even get a chance to talk to her. "Dude, slow down!" He could hear Vargas and Vera scrambling to follow him, but he didn't stop. There it was. Camp Rayburn, the arch read. Victor swallowed his nerves, pausing just long enough for his friends to catch up, before crossing the threshold. It was the most beautiful treehouse he had ever seen. Not that there was much competition, admittedly. Stood tall at the centre of a large open space. Small cabins sat on each branch. Thin white lights dangled between them, lighting the whole area. And there she was, right in the middle of it all. Next to the empty campfire pit, clear as the North Star, she gazed up at the trees around her in awe. She spun in a small circle before a boy latched onto her arm, and complained loudly about the dark. Vera immediately jumped on the attack, taking the curly-haired daywalker's fear as an opportunity to start a fight. Victor ignored them both, hovering behind the group, eyes still cast at the blonde. "Come on, man." Vargas clapped him on the shoulder, making the teen jump. "We gotta get a good bunk while they're distracted by the dark." Victor moved to follow him, only to pause when the girl spoke for the first time. "I can't believe it. Actual night." Her voice rang, clear as a bell, and Victor knew he'd be hearing it in his dreams from that moment on. Now that he had a voice, all he needed was a name. "It's beautiful." She turned slightly, and that's when their eyes met for a second time. Victor's breath hitched, but he forced himself to smile. This was it. His chance to introduce himself, to ask her name, to tell her that she'd been living in his head rent-free for so long, that he was so excited to find out why. She smiled back, but broke eye contact only a moment later, turning away. Victor blinked, gripping his bag. As he watched her retreat, he knew he'd missed his chance. For now, at least. "Vampire symbols!" Vargas made his way to the only red cabin that sat on the ground. "This used to be a vampire camp!" Victor pushed the door open. Definitely a vampire cabin. Beds almost identical to the ones back home, sat in even bunks around the room. 6 beds, 18 vampires. Victor pushed the door to the cabin open. He looked around. 2 more red cabins sat in the tree above his head, on the left side, mirroring perfectly by the single standing and 2 hanging yellow cabins, clearly marked with daywalker symbols, which the curly-haired one from earlier quickly pointed out, sparking another argument with Vera. Whatever their history books said about their 2 cities, their peoples, it was clear, to Victor at least, that this camp was a shared space. It was incredible to think. A point in time where their differences might have united them, instead of the division it currently faced. His eyes darted around, looking for the only familiar face among the white-clothed kids, only to see her push open the door of the yellow cabin amongst the first set of branches and disappear inside. Too late. He'd have to try again tomorrow. When Victor woke up the next morning, the first thing he registered was that it was way too bright. God, how did the rest of the world put up with this? It was like his eyes were being burned from the inside out, and he hadn't even opened them fully. He pulled the cover up over his head, attempting to block out the glow to go back to sleep, but the shrieking of his cabin mates soon made that impossible. With a groan, he sat up, admitting defeat. "What's going on?" he grumbled, squinting as he tried to get used to the light. "The zombie dude." Victor never actually caught his name, now that he thought about it. Asked the same thing. "They're trying to burn us!" It was way too early for Vargas's energy levels. Or his volume, in Victor's opinion. "I'll take care of it." And now the scary werewolf lady was getting involved. Great. A low growl outside was followed by quick shrieks, and he instantly knew that the daywalkers had been greeted by the same tricks she had used to get the vampires into bed the previous night. Not that Victor had gone straight to bed. As soon as the werewolf had left the room, and he'd heard her footsteps recede, he had gotten straight back up. He had settled himself at the windowsill, planning to use the moonlight to sketch, when he saw her, the daywalker from his dreams. Shouldn't she have been in bed? He would have thought she and her kind would have been knocked out as soon as the sun disappeared, unused to the dark. But instead, she seemed to be basking in it. She leaned against the railing outside her cabin, gazing up at the moon and the stars. This was probably the first time she had ever seen them before. Maybe he could use that to his advantage. Take her somewhere. Show her the stars and their patterns. Of course, he'd have to actually talk to her first. "I can't believe it. He kept his voice low, not wanting to wake his friends. She's real. Part of him wondered if he was dreaming, even now. He wouldn't know until he could reach out and touch her. That would be the only thing that would prove it to him. Pinch me. I must be dreaming. I can't believe you're real. He looked down at his bookmark page, eyes running over the features he knew by heart. There you are. You're crystal clear. Had a vision, now you're here. It's you, yeah. He turned back to the window, catching the movement of her turning away quickly. Had she been looking at him? He kept his eyes up, not wanting to miss it if she looked his way again. He would smile. He would wave, maybe point to his door and step outside. Meet her for real. Yes, that was what he would do. The next time she looked his way, he would find a way to get her attention. Only she didn't. A few moments passed before she turned and disappeared into the trees. He'd missed his chance again. After the near miss of an encounter, it had taken him over an hour to fall asleep, his mind running too fast and too far to be quietened. Plans for the day that followed, things he would do, things he had to do. He supposed this was why he was so tired and unequipped to greet the day, while his cabin mates all sounded fresh and well rested. Up all night drawing, then? Victor groaned as Vargas sat heavily on his bed, landing right on his leg. Oi, watch it! He pulled his knees up, nearly making his friend fall. We heard you get up. Vera leaned against the bed frame on the other side of him. Like as soon as the scary chick left. Let me guess. Sketching the stars. She found her face dramatically. Was not, he groaned, swinging his legs over the side of the bed. I was just admiring the view. He could feel the pair's shared eye roll as he stood, ignoring them. So, what's the plan for today? Why don't you tell us, young leader? Vargas joked, really latching on to that title Addison had given him and that daywalker. All right! The zombie interrupted any further discussion, moving over and patting Victor on the shoulder. Great, another person immediately singling him out as the leader. Now we can focus on getting through those gates and saving the day with the daywalkers. Victor actually wanted to get along with the other group, if for no other reason than it would help him get closer to her, even if he still thought this guy was laying it on a little thick. His cabin mates clearly agreed, making their dissent clear. Listen, Vic. The zombie used his hand on his shoulder to steer Victor away from the group. Can I call you Vic? No, thanks. Cool, so basically, he continued as if Victor hadn't even spoken, this only works if we all give 100%. Victor had no idea what that meant, but he nodded along anyway. Maybe that would make him go away faster. And the best way to do that is to make friends with the leader of the Daywalkers. Victor blinked. He couldn't believe his luck. It couldn't be that easy. Could it? Make nice with her, and it'll show your buddies over there. The zombie pointed back to his friends, who quickly looked away, attempting to look like they weren't listening to every word. That they can be nice too. You with me? Victor nodded slowly. All right then. He could use this. He could totally use this. He had just been handed the perfect excuse to spend all his time getting closer to sunshine. Let's do this! He dabbed the zombie's hand, who happily cheered back. Clearly, the older teen wasn't used to people going along with his plans so easily. He followed the zombie back over to the group, his friends quickly flanking him. Make nice with her, Vargas repeated with a sly grin. Show us we can be nice too. Vera laughed, her tone condescending. As if. She snorted. Victor ignored them both. Come on! He clapped his hands, drawing the attention of the group to him. Let's get to work! Who's going to save the day? The werewolf piped up. Vampires and nobody else! His friends chanted. Victor rolled his eyes, not at all surprised, but forced himself to look interested when the zombie tried to convince them to give working with the Daywalkers a chance. only to be met with boos. Yeah, this was going great so far. But wait, if the zombie was in here, trying to convince Victor to work with the leader of the Daywalkers, then was Addison... His friends started to chant, hyping themselves up. Suddenly, he needed to be outside, in the sun, breathing the same air as her. He was sure his hunch was right. So, when the chant turned into a song, which quickly amped up, Victor was the first out of the door. And there she was, looking just as bright, just as real as she had yesterday. Her clothes were different, and her hair was half down, framing her face in soft, gentle golden waves. But she was there. She moved so effortlessly, it was difficult to not get distracted and trip over his own feet. She was right there in front of him, yet he still couldn't reach her. But then the world slowed, and he felt the shift. He turned slowly to face her. "Oh, hi." He choked on the word. "Hello." She blinked up at him. "Hey." He knew he must have sounded so dumb right now, as he struggled to get the words out. Why wasn't his stupid mouth working? He had so many thoughts. He had been planning this moment in his head all night, but now was tripping over his own tongue. "So I have something kind of crazy to say." She didn't look away this time, stepping closer to him. He matched her steps, not wanting to scare her off. "So do I. You go first." She spoke at the same time. The pair laughed awkwardly. "Okay, here goes." She took a deep breath. Victor couldn't force his eyes away from her if he tried. "I've been having visions of you." Victor swore, right then and there. His heart stopped for good. "That's crazy, 'cause me too." He stepped closer still. He wasn't the only one. She had been dreaming of him the same way he had her. There had to be a reason. He needed to know why. "What does it mean?" "This feeling I feel. Is this a dream?" Their words were said in perfect unison, and Victor's heart was racing now. "Are you real?" He reached out a hand. He had to know. Had to know this wasn't a twisted dream that would get his hopes up, only to completely shatter when he woke up the next morning, back in his own bed, back in Shady Town. Or for something else to shatter. His spine, maybe? As he suddenly went from being about to touch her to lying on his back staring up at the sky. He groaned, "Really real," as he rolled onto his side. Had she just judo flipped him? Holy shit! "Sorry." She was kneeling down in an instant, gripping his arm and pulling him up. But the pain dulled to a light throb, as sparks spread from where her hands lay on his arm, sending tingles through his whole body. "Reflexes." He let himself be pulled up. "Yeah, got it." Victor couldn't even really be annoyed at this girl, even if she had just judo flipped him. "I'm gonna put out my hand now," he warned her, shaking out his shoulder. "Don't throw me into the sun." "Victor." He held out his hand. This was it. He'd finally have a name to the face. Only, instead of her reaching out and accepting his hand, he felt himself being yanked backwards by the shirt. Vargas and Vera. Because, of course. The world sped back to normal. Victor hadn't even really realised it had been slowed down for that long. Did his friends just see him get flipped on his ass? God, he was going to hear about that later. And he still didn't know her name. Damn it! End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed this one. Hi MJ! Yes, I cannot tell you how many times I have read this. You are such an incredible actor and I can so see this. I am seeing the movie in my head because of the way you write. I was tempted to sing the lines of the songs, but I don't think that would work. I don't have a voice nearly like Malachi's or Freya's. And the way he is just so down bad for her immediately, and it's just like, I need to know this girl's name so badly. Just He's a Romeo, and I'm so happy about it. This movie has me by the throat, and I'm loving every second of it. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye, my guys, girls, and non-binary bells. I'll see you in another video. Take care.